Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited today because I am sharing with you my June monthly plan with me. Since I designed these stickers, I have been so eager to start planning, so I am so pumped to be doing this today. For those of you who are new here, I make videos about digital planning and different ways to get creative on your iPad. A quick heads up before we get started, I do plan on using Procreate today. It's not a requirement, so if you don't have it, it's no big deal. But I really love using Procreate as a way to kind of spice up some different areas and do things that I couldn't otherwise create in Goodnotes. So that's just something that I really like to use, but it's definitely not a necessity today, and I'll show you some alternative ways to do the things I'm going to do if you don't have Procreate. But I think you'll see today how much better it is to use Procreate if you can. That all being said, we're just gonna go through it really quickly and I'll show you all of the stickers that I released for the month of June. I already did a dedicated video on that, so if you missed it, it's linked up here in the corner. But as always, at the beginning of the month, I do like to do a very quick flip through just in case you missed it. So this is the first color palette, and this is the one that I'm going to be using today. This is also the one that if you're on Patreon, you would have automatically gotten a download for. So regardless of your tier, every single person on Patreon did receive this one. But as always, if you would like access to this sticker set or anything else, I will leave links down in the description below. You can either shop on my website or on my Etsy, because in case you missed that too, I have been reinstated. Another thing I'm just so excited about, but not the purpose of today's video, so let's go ahead and keep moving on. I am so excited to use these. I think these are absolutely adorable. But next sticker set is this lemon lime one. I really love these colors as well. I think they look so nice together. They're obviously so perfectly lemon and lime. And then this one is one of my top favorites. That feels a little redundant to say, but this one is definitely high on my list. I really like these colors together. Just that contrast with that really deep sort of blood orange color, which I really love. And these first three that I've just shown you, these ones are the ones that are included in the Patreon bundle. So if you're in a tier that gets an entire bundle, then those are the three that you would have received. But there are two more that I made available. So there's this one, which is similar to the one that we're using today, but it's just a little bit brighter. I think this one's really cute. And then this one, which is my absolute favorite. I'm obsessed with this color palette, and I would feel like I just want to use it on everything. I think it's so pretty. In fact, I did just do a huge project that I used these colors for, but I will share more on that later on this month. But those are all of the sticker sets. So like I said, if you want to see a more in-depth video about my thoughts on how I created all of this and how I made some of these decisions, feel free to check out that video. But with all of that finished, let's go ahead and just start planning. So I need to cover up my canvas and make this blank. But I'm going to come to my element that blocks off all of these pieces that I don't want to see. So I have that one already programmed here, and you can see there's like a white block here and a big white block here. So just line that up and tap off. Beautiful. I swear, elements make everything so simple. I'm gonna make a video on them soon, but I highly recommend using them in this way. Total time saver. On that note, we are actually going to create a nice color changing element that we're going to use here today. So I don't need blue this month, so I am going to cover this up, and since it's something that I'm always doing, like every month, I'm just going to make it into an element and make this process so much simpler. So I'm going to start by just coming to my text tool, and I have my cheeky collegian font, and I'm just going to tap here, and I'm going to type in all the days of the week. Oh no, it's not in my cheeky collegian font. I was messing with my defaults, answering a question for someone the other day, and I must have messed something up. So right now I'm just typing in all of the words and changing the font to my cheeky collegian font. And I'm just going to save this as my default one more time, and hopefully that resolves that issue. So now let's go ahead and just adjust the sizing here, and my goal is to try and get this to be as close to the sizes that are up here already. So I feel like that looks kind of close, so what I'm going to do is grab my lasso tool with text boxes only turned on, and I'm just going to bring this up here. And obviously it doesn't have to be exact. I'd be perfectly content using this, and I actually am And sometimes I like that slightly bigger text. So I'm just going to stick with this. But if you really want it to match, you can spend some more time, but I don't think it's that big of a deal personally. So coming back to my text tool, I'm just gonna come in here and come in between each of the words, and I'm actually just going to tap with my finger, and this will make it easier for me to just add in some spaces. So I'm just kind of gonna space until it gets where I want it to go. And so actually I can see that some of these aren't lining up as perfectly as I would like. So I'm just gonna select this all again, and I'm just going to kind of bring the size down a little, and this looks like a closer match, I would say. So I'm just now gonna come here in between, and I'm just gonna keep adding those spaces. All right, so this is pretty close. Alternatively, you could do this in all different text boxes, but for me, in order to make sure that they are all in a straight line, I'm doing it this way, but you do have options. This of course means that I end up messing with the spacing a little bit longer, but because I'm saving this as an element, I'm okay with just taking a little bit of extra time here to try and get it as close as possible, because I know that I'll use it again and again. So I would say this is close enough and that I'm happy with it. So I'm just gonna leave that here for a second. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here to my pen tool, and I'm just gonna choose one of these colors. I don't really care which one, because I'm making it so that it's a color changing element and I can use it month after month and just change the color. So one thing I do wanna do is use my thicker pen tool here, and I am just going to draw, wow, that's so loud, I just got a new screen protector. And you're just gonna hold here and then grab your shape tool so you can adjust it. And here you can really zoom in and just try to get it as close as you can. Now you can either turn on handwriting and delete this little box that's here in the center. It doesn't really matter, because we're actually just gonna color this in so that it's perfectly opaque. But one thing I'm going to add in addition is, what you might notice is that here there's this rounded corner, and I really want it to be like a perfectly square corner. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a smaller brush, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle again and hold, and then I'm going to grab my shape tool, and we're just going to adjust this and bring it in so that it's a lot better. Okay, so now you can see that's a lot more crisp, and you can't really tell that it's been two things layered together. So now here comes the fun part. Now we can come in here and we can just color everything in, but I want to do my best to just do it all in one single pen stroke, if that makes sense. And the reason for that is that if I don't, then when I go to recolor later, I might have some limitations. So I'll elaborate on that a little bit more in a minute. But for now, I'm just gonna take some time and try to color this in as best as I can and try not to miss any spots. I don't wanna have to have any little rogue brush strokes in here later that I have to go find when I wanna change the color. But as always, there are workarounds to make this easier too. So I'll get into that in a second. Okay, so this is so perfectly beautiful. I'm just gonna check and make sure that I didn't miss any spots. And oh no, I did. Okay, so I'll explain here. The problem is that if I now color this in, but then later on I decide I wanna move this, it's going to leave behind those spots. So I don't wanna do that. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of time here and just redo that. But I'm just gonna jump ahead because you really don't need to see that. So now I'm happy with that. You definitely don't have to take the time to do that unless you want to. I did because, like I said, I'm saving it as an element, and so I want to have access to the perfect thing from here on out. But as I mentioned, there are workarounds. So if you're in that situation where you just don't want to do what I did, or you can't seem to get it perfect in just one stroke, that's fine. I'll show you how to deal with that instead. So basically, whenever you want to edit it, you're just going to make sure that handwriting only is turned on. And instead of just circling this bit, you'll actually just circle the whole thing, and it'll be totally fine. So it's definitely not a big deal. Anyway, we're going to turn text boxes back on here. I'm going to select this text, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to paste it, and then I'm just going to try to center it as best as I can where I think it should go. If you are struggling to get it centered or you're not quite sure, you can remember that we already lined this one up. So instead of cutting it, you can copy it and then you can line it up again. And once that looks good to you, you can tap off of it and then you can delete that one. Okay, so now making sure that both handwriting and text boxes is turned on, but not images, because we really don't want to grab this part up here. We're just going to select this. And especially if you did multiple strokes, you want to make sure that you come outside this box here and just make sure that you get literally every last piece that you might have been coloring in. And we're just going to tap on this now and we're going to add it as an element. And so I'm just going to come to my color changing folder and I'm just going to add it in there. Okay, so now the really beautiful thing about this is that I can turn on text boxes only. And since this is all one text box, I can just select anywhere. But if you did a bunch of different ones, you can select all of them. Or if you did different ones, you could always change the color of each word, which would be kind of cool. But I didn't do that. And then I can come in here to my preset colors and I could just change it to this yellow, for example, or this nice deep red. And now since I made this all one piece, I can just turn handwriting on and I can just select this corner if I wanted to. And I know that that's going to get the 2 rectangles that I made and then the one big color stroke. And I'm just going to recolor this. So maybe I want it in the yellow. Now, the nice thing about this is I can use this month after month, and also I can change this when I'm done with my design and figure out if I actually like it or don't like it. It's enough time spent on that, so let's go ahead and jump back to our sticker pack and let's go ahead and add in all of the dates. So I'm going to grab my images, select and copy, come back and paste, and we're just gonna resize, and I'm just gonna pull out a little bit at a time from the corner. Okay, and I'm content with that size. I actually really don't like the look of this text in this color, so what I'm gonna do is turn on text boxes only here. And I'm gonna change it to white. And then grabbing handwriting, I'm going to tap on this and I'm going to color it and this color. I think that'll make me happier, but we'll see. Maybe I'll change it later. So I'm just gonna turn my images back on and move all these around. But I'm not gonna make you sit through this, so I'll just fast forward really quickly. Okay, now these are all done. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back to my sticker pack and I'm gonna use one of these extra little pattern designs I made. So I intended these to be kind of for you to just use sort of freely, however you felt. You can use them as washi tape if you want, but you can also use them as basically anything. So I've just pasted this here and I'm gonna grab my picture tool and I'm just gonna resize this and also rotate it. So let's rotate it first. And I'm gonna put it over here and I just wanna make it wide enough. So you have a couple different ways that you can do this. You could crop this up here, like partway through this pink, and then add one of those background color elements. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to crop this, let me see, this is the bottom. So I'm gonna crop this down to, I wanna say like right above this orange here, maybe partway down a little bit more. And I'm just gonna tap done here. And now I'm just gonna move this here. And I actually think I could have cut off a little bit more. So I am gonna do that. I'm gonna crop this a little bit more and just bring this in, let's just say to here. And I wanna put a similar piece up here. So I'm just gonna take this one and I'm gonna copy it and I'm going to paste it. And now I'm gonna tap again on this using my camera tool and just tap and crop. And I can choose to crop out any piece that I want. Okay, and I think maybe I'll use this bit. So I'm just gonna hit done. And then I'm just gonna bring this up here. And looking at this, I still want a little bit more space, so I'm gonna come up and crop this again. So you could have kept the whole piece there and just cropped it to this section, and then you could have added a background color element that just matched there, but it doesn't really matter. That's just how I chose to do it. Both ways are totally fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back to my sticker pack. I'm going to grab my lasso tool with images turned on. I'm gonna grab my lasso tool and I'm gonna grab these 2 images. And I want to grab them together so that I can kind of keep them the same size as best as I can. But of course they did go a little bit crooked, which is fine. I'm just going to grab my image tool and try to straighten these out again. And I'm just trying to keep them the same size. If you're really picky, you can always just bring it over and make sure that they line up. Those should be pretty accurately the same size. And then I'm going to tap on this one and I'm going to crop out this green. So I want to make sure I'm not cropping out any of the red though. So I just gotta get that as precisely as I can. But looks like I need to go just a little bit more. So we are gonna crop the hair further in and then hit done. So now that I have this, I actually, since these are both up, I think I'm gonna rotate this one around, which means I just need to line this up again and make sure that they're the right size. So it needs to be a little bit bigger. This should just fit together like a nice little puzzle. I would say that's good enough for me. Okay, so now that I have these how I want them, I'm just going to lasso them together and bring them over here. And these are actually pretty accurately how I wanted them. So they line up pretty well on both sides, but of course you can play around with that and resize it before you tap off. And what I'm gonna put here now is I'm gonna grab my white pen in this medium size, and I'm just going to write top 3. So I usually do this for my daily plan with me. It's just tasks and stuff that need to be done, those priorities. But I have a lot of projects I've been working on lately, and I feel like I just need to set myself a goal for some of my favorite ones and just stick with those. So I don't get too overwhelmed. And now I'm looking, I think I'm gonna need a little bit more space to write 3 of these. So I am going to grab my image tool, tap on this one, and then crop it. And I'm just gonna bring this down maybe to here. And we're gonna move this down so it lines up with the bottom, and that looks more balanced to me. Going back to my sticker pack, I'm just going to grab, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll decide which colors I'm gonna use in a second. Gonna resize these together again. And these ones I don't really care all that much if they rotate. Honestly, I think I want them to be rotated a little. Okay, and now I'm just gonna grab my image tool here, and I think I'm just not gonna use the yellow. So I'm gonna move this one over, and this one, and this one. And I am just eyeballing this here. There are, of course, ways that you can try to make it more precise. And when you're layered here, I don't know, sometimes Goodnotes gets really weird and you have to press the image in a certain spot. But if you are having issues with it, you can grab your elements, move that whole piece over for now, and then you can't tap off of it here because that's still part of the element technically, even though it's transparent, so you can tap off on this edge. And then go ahead and grab your images. Oddly enough, it's still not moving. You still have to kind of tap it in the right spot. I think it's once they're a certain size that Goodnotes just struggles. So if you are having an issue with that, now that you've moved that out of the way, you can just make sure you have images selected, and you can just move any of these how you want to. Does anyone else have that issue with Goodnotes all the time? Because it drives me crazy. I feel like I should just make a video of all the things that annoy me about Goodnotes. But honestly, I don't think I'll ever leave this app. I love this app, despite all of the frustrations. So I'm just gonna grab my elements again, and I'm just gonna bring this right back. So now I'm just going to select this one and delete it. I don't need it. So I just have 2 more things to do, and these things are the ones that I'm going to use Procreate for. So I'm first just going to come to Procreate, and I'm just gonna come to my stickers folder. It doesn't really matter. And I'm just gonna hit plus and add screen size. Now I am going to come back here and come to my stickers, and I really want to use this cute June one. So grabbing my image tool, I'm just going to select June here, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to swipe down with 3 fingers, and it'll bring this menu up. I'm going to hit paste and allow paste from Goodnotes. This probably will have to be sized down just a little bit, but that's okay. So for now, I'm just going to leave that. I'm gonna grab some of these splashes. So I think what I'm gonna do is grab all 4 of them because I'm just not sure which ones I wanna use yet. And I'm going to again swipe down with 3 fingers and hit paste, allow paste. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is coming up here to grab this selection tool, making sure we're on freehand, we are going to take, I think, the yellow here and draw around it. Make sure that you don't touch any of the other edges, and then grab the mouse, and we're just going to rotate this so that it kind of has splash marks coming out of it. And I think I'm gonna need a little bit more room to work. So what I'm gonna do is tap that mouse to deselect all of this, come to my layers menu, and then swipe to the right on this layer. So now they both should be highlighted in blue. And I'm gonna grab this mouse again, and I'm just gonna make this a little smaller Make sure this is on uniform when you do this so that you don't distort any of the proportions. But I'm happy with this, so I'm just going to tap this mouse again. And now what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna take this green and I'm gonna put it underneath the U here. So grabbing the selection tool like we did before on freehand, we are going to draw around here to select this area. And I'm just going to kind of rotate this a bit using that green handle there. And just kind of find a way that I think looks nice. Play around with rotating pieces if you want. And I'm gonna move this one over. But I'm going to flip this horizontally and then rotate it out this way. And I don't know, now that I'm looking at this, I feel like I want to add maybe a couple more. So I think what I'm going to do now is just grab these ones and bring them over here. Swipe down and paste, allow paste. Sizing these down, again on uniform. And I think I'm just gonna do one more little thing, which is I'm going to come to my brush library and grab my studio pen. You can find this in the inking folder. Maybe add on one more layer. And you can pick any of these colors. So I think I'm gonna pick, let's start with the orange. And you can pick it by just long pressing and it'll bring up the eyedropper tool. And my brush size is set to 6. And I'm just gonna start drawing some little organic spots in here. This sort of feels like a party, and I love it. What I want to do now is just take all 4 of these, swipe to the right so I can select them. They're all blue now, and I'm just going to tap group. Now I'm going to grab this little arrow and I'm going to close the group and I'm going to swipe to the left and hit duplicate. So now on this layer, I'm going to tap on it and then tap flatten. What we're going to do is we are going to come back to our planner and we're just going to do a quick little screen grab. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to save this image, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little piece that has the rainbow. I'm going to tap on this, grab my eyedropper tool, and drag this over here. So it's F8, F8, F8. If I tap on the RGB color, which is what we are working on, this one in particular is the same, it doesn't change, but a lot of colors will. And what I'm gonna do is come back to this layer that we just merged everything together, and I am going to take 2 fingers and swipe to the right. So you'll be able to see there's a little checkered background to this thumbnail. So now we're just gonna come up here to our color, tap on this, come down to the one that says value, and we're going to type in F8, 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 and hit done. So now that's the color of that background. So I'm gonna come to my layers menu, tap on this layer 1 here, and I'm going to tap fill layer. So what this did by having that on alpha lock is it basically confines any of our edits to what is already colored in. So I'm gonna come and bring this down underneath. I'm gonna swipe again with 2 fingers, same as we did before, and that turns alpha lock off. The other thing you could have done was tap on here and tap alpha lock. And now what we're gonna do is, so it's easier to see, turn off our background layer. We want to come here to this little magic wand. This is our adjustments layer, and we're going to tap Gaussian blur. And right now it's at 0%. So if you just take your mouse and you drag over, let's just bring it up to maybe, let's just put it at like a 5 for right now. And now I'm just gonna grab this ribbon tool here to select this. And we're gonna change this to automatic and to color fill. And we're going to drag from the outside, and you can adjust the threshold. We wanna keep it pretty close to the edge. So I have mine at 1.9%, but the important thing here is to tap invert. Now you can see here, we still have a lot that isn't right? We don't want it to just be like this. I personally want to make this like one big sticker. So you have a couple options here. You can repeat that same process. So I think I will maybe 1 or 2 more times. So I'm just gonna grab this Gaussian blur, and I'm gonna come up again on this layer. And the reason I'm not doing it so big is just because when you go to fill the color, it can get super grainy that way. So I like to do this little by little, 5% again, and grabbing this ribbon, automatic and color fill. So you're just gonna drag this over, and I'm going to invert it, and we're just gonna do that again. So now that I'm here, I'm pretty content with just coming in to this layer with my studio pen, and you can bring the size up a little bit and then just kind of connecting these. So it's up to you if you want to draw around it. This kind of softens the edges a little bit too, just so that they're a little smoother. But this part is optional. I'm just going to speed through this. You could have done this all by hand from the beginning too if you wanted to, but I like to do it this way because it gives me a better idea of what that shape would look like if it were a real die cut sticker. But what I'm going to do is actually just take 3 fingers, swipe down, and hit copy all. So now what that's going to do is when I come back here, I'm going to be able to just paste this image in, and it's got that nice white background, and I can also crop this. And the really nice thing is that it's the same color as the background, so you can't tell that that's there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to my stripes. I'm going to grab this and copy it, paste it, grab my image tool, rotate this, and I'm going to rotate it again so that the reds aren't lined up. I want the red on top there. And I'm just going to size these. And what I'm going to do is cut this now. I could have pasted it later. And I'm going to get this to a size that I like. And you can decide if you're okay with having that sort of die cut edge there. I think I am. I'm going to come back to my image tool and tap on this, and I think I just want it to be a thin stripe. I think that's almost cuter that way. And there, I did size it down. I don't know, it's different. I haven't done something like this before. I think it's kind of cute. What we're going to do is we're going to copy this image, and we're going to come back to Procreate, and we can just work in the same document. You can toggle this layer off so you don't see it. Add a new layer, swipe down with 3 fingers, and paste this image in here. Allow paste. Okay, and now it fits in here perfectly. So the thing we're going to do now is we are just going to duplicate this. Take your 2 fingers and swipe to the right. We're going to alpha lock it. And seeing as how we still have that white selected, I'm just going to tap on this and fill this layer. And now we are going to grab our mouse here. So this is our transform tool. And we're just going to grab this corner and kind of drag it in. But you'll notice that because it's on freeform and it's a rectangle, it's not going to stay within the right proportions. So what I'm going to do is now come to freeform. And I'm just going to drag this until I have a border that I'm happy with that's pretty even on all sides. But you can either choose to keep this white like this, and you can just toggle this off and copy and paste this over to Goodnotes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that layer back on and reduce this opacity a bit until I feel like I can write on it but still see the pattern. I think that's good. I have it at 85%. And I'm just going to remove this layer now. So now that we're here, we're going to come to this little wrench icon. So these are our actions. You can make sure you tap share. And then we want to save this as a PNG. This will give us that transparent background. And I'm just going to tap copy here. You can save it if you want to, but then I'm just going to come in here and tap paste. And I'm also going to tap on this again, and I'm going to crop it. So it looks like it's pretty much all white from here, but it's actually not. So I'll show you that in a second. We're going to hit done, bring this over, and it gives us that nice transparent look. And then you can just bring this in here. And if you don't feel like you did a perfect job before when you were trying to get the borders right, this is nice. You still have the freedom to adjust that here. So it's really nice. And now you've got this beautiful transparent layer. You can save that as an element too if you think it's something that you'll want to use in the future. Okay, and so for me, I'm going to use this as a place for writing down all of my notes and things that I want to accomplish and brainstorm for the month. And then, of course, putting my top 3 priorities here, filling in my month as usual. And let's just add a couple little decorative elements. So I'm going to grab this adorable creative juice. I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to paste it. And grab my image tool. And I'm just going to put this over here. Let's grab this red here. I'm gonna copy this and I'm going to paste, and I'm gonna just kind of put this here and grab one of these yellow ones because I think it'll stand out the most. Paste and size it over here, and you can kind of size it on top so you can make sure the sizing is pretty good. But then I'm also going to like rotate it and move it around a little. And the last thing I'm going to do is just add in this cute little squeeze the day. Maybe I will put these around here, and I'll just copy this, paste it, and rotate it around. All right, so you guys know me, I like to keep my monthly setup pretty simple, but of course, always cute. So this is what I've come up with for the month of June. I think this is really adorable, and I hope that you learned some new ways to incorporate Procreate. Now, if you didn't want to use Procreate for these, I've gone ahead and made 2 super quick shorts, which I will link up here, which will show you ways that you could have added these elements in by making them completely in Goodnotes. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed using these stickers, and I cannot wait to do my weekly plan with you guys soon. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you do use any of these stickers, I would love, 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 love to see what you create. So please share with me via Instagram. I'm at terrible_art. But that's everything. So again, thanks a million, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!